begin, I just want to make sure that other than LATV, we know is recording, that if anybody else is recording, you need to please identify yourself and let the committee know. So with that, we'll call the meeting to order. Today is Monday, June 4th, and we're here at the Leominster Center for Excellence. And if everyone can stand and please salute the flag. Where's the flag? Outside, right over there. Okay, we're facing this way. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our Leominster School Statement, and then we'll move into the open forum. The committee represents the needs of all Leominster Public School students and places their interests above all others. We will exercise leadership, adhere to our protocols, and base our decision upon a reasoned assessment of all available information. We will advocate for each of our schools and support high-quality public education in Leominster. Okay, right now we'll open up the public comment, and there's one person who is signed up ahead of time, Jason Jefferson. If you can please step to the microphone at the end of the table, state your name and address for the record, please.
I am Jason Jefferson from 214 Pleasant Street, Leominster, Massachusetts. And I have come to present a student statement about teachers and causes they have when there's less of them in school.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So I'm a student at Leominster Center for Excellence, and today I would like to talk about classroom sizes and what I've witnessed in my time as an intern with the Samoset Middle School teacher, Mr. Landry. I have specifically noticed the problems that arise with the different ratios of students to teachers in these music classrooms. The smallest classes are usually 8th grade classrooms, which are often consisted of 8 to 12 people. They are obviously the most well-behaved class in the choirs. The next class is 7th grade. Those classes are slightly bigger than the 8th grade classes, usually having 10 to 14 people. The 6th grade class I have witnessed is always the biggest problem. We're talking anywhere between 30 and 40 kids, often averaging around 40. The average classroom size in America is 24 kids. This is almost doubled most of the time in our 6th grade classroom. As you could imagine, the classroom gets very out of control very easily, often requiring the teacher to redirect the students every 15 seconds or so. In most classes, redirecting and assistance from the teacher is only required every couple of minutes. The teacher who has to redirect the class every 15 seconds can't make as much progress on a lesson as planned, and the students can't be expected to learn if the lesson is being disrupted every couple of seconds. The reason for the overly large amount of students in the 6th grade music class stems from the lack of teachers who could provide other elective courses to the group. After teachers were cut last school year due to budget shortages, this is the situation created for our students in our community. I hope you take into consideration the impact of the lower number of teachers in Leominster and do everything possible to avoid lowering the number of teachers in the community any further. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Would anybody else like to address the committee? If so, please step forward. One more time, would anybody else like to address the committee? Okay, at this point, we're going to close the public comment portion of our meeting, and we're going to move on to communications, Superintendent.
We received one communication from Attorney Falk regarding the E-rate procedure. We received communication last Friday, and he indicates that there is no issue under state procurement law or municipal finance law with respect to either the CPI method, which is preferred by the school committee, or the BEAR model. If the school department elects to use the SPI method with its service provider under the E-rate program, I am not aware of any reason why this approach would be unlawful. He is still happy to work with us and reach out. He has not heard from Mr. Richards, the Comptroller for the city, but is willing to entertain any phone call or any questions.
So I checked with the Comptroller after the meeting, and so it's really simple. So the money comes into the city and it needs to be appropriated. So as soon as there's a bill or something that says a request for appropriation with some sort of document saying this is how much we need, then an appropriation will be made. and then you just follow the process after that. So it's really that simple.
So it's my understanding that was done. Is
Yes,
that
that's been done. E-rate is, it's been, the money to pay our 20% is part of our FY18 budget that's already been appropriated.
So the money's sitting there. So here's how it happens. So the money comes into the city, and it needs to be appropriated. So if there's a request for appropriation, then give that to me, and I'll take care of that. So that's how the system works. Any money that comes into the city, no matter what it is, Chapter 70 or whatever it is, comes into the city, and then it gets appropriated.
Well, I'm not sure which money coming into the city you're talking about.
E-rate money goes into the city.
It does not. It goes
Okay.
directly to the vendor.
I'm telling you what said. How can money come into the city and go directly to a vendor?
It doesn't come into the city.
I'm just saying, how can money that belongs to the city or the school department come and go directly to a vendor?
it doesn't belong to us?
It's money that comes from when you pay your phone bill or your cable bill. So it comes into the system. So all I'm telling you is, he's the comptroller, he's the auditor for the city, and he's saying this is really simple. And I don't know what else to tell you.
And we've
That's
done it
the
in
way.
previous years.
Right. So the finance committee can better answer, but if there's a bill for a service, a certain portion of that goes to the vendor from us, the rest gets paid to the vendor through this reimbursement right to the vendor. So we only have a portion of the bill to pay, and that's what was submitted. There's no other money coming in. This is our portion of the bill that needs to be
Okay.
paid.
I'm telling you, he's the comptroller for the city. His responsibility is to make sure everything's in order. I'm communicating to you what he said. If you choose to do it a different way and make your own rules that are counterproductive to the rules of the city, then you're going to end up in trouble. We already have one bill that we already have for Royal Steam that hasn't been paid yet because we didn't follow the right procedure.
So this is, it's my understanding, and Mike, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that this is something that we did the previous year. This was in our budget for this year. We had made an agreement that the E-rate money would be paid, we'd get the discount, the majority of the portion would be paid directly to the vendor, and we are responsible for what is left, and we've submitted the requisition for that amount to be paid just like we do with every other bill that we have. We submit it to the comptroller to pay the bill.
Okay.
So
If you get a copy of that, for me, I'll bring it to the comptroller. But I'm just laying out the rules here by which he's using. That is, money comes into the city. This is what he explained to me. So the money comes into the city. If money comes into the city, and it's for the city or the school department, then it needs to be appropriated.
Right, but there is no money coming into the city.
Okay. Then if there's some document that's asking for an appropriation, when you say there isn't, then if it doesn't come to the city, then I don't know what the appropriation is needed for.
It's just a bill, just like we pay
Okay, then I guess
any
just
other
pay
bill.
it then. If it's that simple, and you don't have and you didn't make a request for appropriation, then you answered your own question.
The bill's not getting paid.
The bill's not getting paid, we submitted the bill.
Then if it's a bill, there has to be a funding source for it.
Yes.
And a funding source in,
It is in
all
the
right,
budget. We have
okay. If
appropriated.
you have a funding source, then it needs to be appropriated.
It has been appropriated.
Okay, then you
It's
turn in a
part of our
purchase
budget.
requisition. If you already turned one in, give it to me and I'll give it to him.
It's sitting in City Hall.
Okay, give me a copy of it.
Purchasing
And
agent has
and if it doesn't get paid, then at least you'll have an answer as to why. You'll get a letter that says, here's why.
Well, the last time we were here, you had asked for us to get a legal ruling on it,
I
which we
did.
did.
And I also asked that somebody talk to the comptroller as to why he wasn't submitting it. He's in the middle of budgets right now, so it's very difficult for him to stop everything. He's the only one now doing budgets for the city. There is no assistant budget person right now. So I asked him what was the issue. He said it's an appropriation, comes into the city. It needs to be an appropriation made through the regular course like everything else. And when that's done, then the bill will get paid.
Right,
Really
but
simple.
that's not how this is set up. That would be, that's how we would prefer it to be set up, but that's not how it was set up last year
Well,
or this year.
what I explained to him is what was told here last time, and I watched it on video, is that we would have to appropriate the money and then get reimbursed. He said that's not the case. That is not the case. It's just one appropriation that needs to be made and the bill gets paid.
My understanding was that Mr. Richards wanted us to have,
Us pay the entire portion.
pay the entire, and then get reimbursed for that amount, which would come back to the city.
That's not the case.
Okay.
That's
I mean,
what-
that was
that
a
said last year.
That's not the
Okay.
case.
Then
If
what's
I can
the
finish, if I can
Nothing.
finish.
He's saying there's an appropriation that needs to be made. If you have a purchase requisition, get it to him, it'll get paid, if the original appropriation has been made.
It was spent on
You
our budget,
can't,
which
you
was
can't,
approved.
you can't pay a bill unless there's an appropriation
Part
made.
of-
It's part of our budget,
general fund
in our
budget
general
this year. It's been
Which
approved.
means that there was, all right, so then you don't have anything to worry about. Get your copy of the purchase requisition and I'll get to it. And if everything is in, remember, the comptroller's job isn't for us to make up rules by which we would like to operate the city. The comptroller's job is to make sure that we're in compliance.
Right.
That we're,
We are.
hold on, that we're appropriating money properly. We're purchasing things properly. We're going out to bid properly. That's his job. If he says, if he gets to the point where he says, listen, this is not in compliance, he's not going to sign off. And then everybody makes him the bad guy. Then everybody's like, John Richard, that guy John Richard. No, that's his job. That's what he gets paid to do. That's what he's sworn to take the oath to do that job. So we have to satisfy that we are in compliance. If we don't, not 10 of us, 1,000 of us can say, no, that's not right. But that's his job. And you know what? He keeps us out of trouble. We're never, never, never in trouble. In my 25 years here, he's kept me out of trouble.
So at this
It's only
point-
this department that gets us in trouble,
So
every
at
time.
this point, we're going to move on. Mike, you're going to make sure that Dean has a copy of the warrant that we submitted, the bill, and then we expect it to be paid since it's within the...
If everything's in compliance, then the bill will get paid.
Right, and we did have a legal ruling that it is.
And we have another bill from Royal Steam that we didn't bid, and
That's a different issue.
that company,
We're not
That's a
talking about that
different
issue. right
okay, but I'm just telling you, this company still hasn't got paid. And it's really important that we follow the correct procedures.
Superintendent, is there any other communications?
No communication.
Okay, why don't we move on to your report, please?
Great. So good evening. I want to share how proud I am to be part of this school district. From the choral events, the Grade 5 District Survivor Day, Scholarship Night, and if you haven't already heard, to the finest graduations between LCE last Thursday and LHS CTI on Saturday. They were phenomenal. Families, friends, distinguished guests in our city witnessed an amazing celebration of our students. I would especially like to thank all of the Leominster staff on every level for their efforts in ensuring that our students participated in an exceptional program. The staff did an exquisite job all around. I would also like to mention, in conjunction with my Sunday morning message, an additional plea for families to support the returning of school materials such as library books, text-based materials, and lunch balances to avoid any disruption on the last day of school. Do not hesitate to contact your schools to provide clarity for your family and their needs. And lastly, more and more events will be occurring over the last, I said 14 days, but it's 13 and a half, don't forget. Do not miss a thing. Your children and their schools love your attendance and hope to demonstrate their talent, and they just want to have your endearing faces there. So thank you.
And I just want to say that we had a wonderful graduation. All the students were amazing, all the speeches were fabulous, and we got to recognize a young man of 94 and getting his diploma finally.
That was great.
So that was a wonderful tribute to him. So it really was a beautiful day.
It was fantastic, and Mother Nature held off.
Right. So congratulations to all the graduates in 2018.
LCE's graduation at City Hall
Thursday.
was
That
very
was
nice.
nice.
Speakers were very well, spoke very well.
Very
It was
well
nice to
attended.
be there, very well attended.
Nice, that's wonderful. Right, lots of things to be proud of.
I
All right.
agree.
Do you have more? Nope. Okay, so then we're going to move on to the LCE presentation. Come on forward.
Why not, Kenny and Isabel? So I could talk to you, but I know you don't really want to hear from me again, so I'm going to let a couple students talk to you a little bit about their internships. Both of them have some very cool opportunities this year to do some learning outside the school walls, and I wanted you all to hear about it firsthand from them. Afterwards, if you have any questions about how things are going, I'm happy to answer questions. So this is Isabel Fox. She's a 10th grader, and this is Kenny. And Kenny is a 9th grader, and they will both take a minute and talk to you.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
As Ms. Duff said, I am a 10th grader, and I work at a laboratory, specifically ETR Labs. We are a water testing laboratory, and basically we
test all different types of water for different pathogens, some microorganisms, and I get to work with some pretty cool instruments, and I learn a lot of different things. I think this is a wonderful opportunity that should be held more, and the stuff that I'm learning is a one-of-a-kind experience that everyone should have.
Can you tell them a little bit about your project work with the NMR?
Yeah, so basically the NMR is this high-tech instrument, and we're using it to identify different species of bacteria and yeast, which no one's ever done before. Usually we use it for identifying what's in a chemical structure. But we stumbled across this idea, why can't we do it for bacteria? And many people in my lab don't really know how to work the NMR, they're not really cross-trained, so I'm designing a lesson where I'm teaching them, scientists,
Very cool.
how to work the NMR and different microbiological things about it, just some background information, so I can teach them how to use it.
Are you planning to pursue this sort of science as a career opportunity?
Yes, and also no. I know, kind of funny, but I'm also interested in like poetry and writing, and those are some other of my passions, such as music too. And so I'm a very well-balanced kind of person, you might say.
It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kenny. I'm a freshman here at LCE. I work over at DJ's Auto Repair, doing things, brake jobs, anything they really need help with.
You just did a presentation for your advisory, right? What did you teach us about?
So I did a presentation on how to do oil changes and why they're important and what it does for your car. I explained what would happen if you didn't have oil or anything, and basically everything you need to know, that because a lot of people nowadays, especially here, you get in your first car, just getting out on the road, but you don't really know a lot about your car, so I wanted to inform them on that.
Kenny may have single-handedly saved Mr. Ortiz like $15,000 by letting her know to change her life. And Dan has been a wonderful, wonderful mentor for us. He recently gave Kenny this really kind of special thing to work on.
Yeah, so recently, over spring break, I think it was, I had gone in for an extra Tuesday and Friday just because I really liked my internship and I knew they wanted help. So I went in and I found out Dan, the owner of DJ's, he had a car and I ended up cleaning it, and recently he had given me the car. It's a project car. It is based to make it look like a 1929 Mercedes. So he thought it would be a great learning experience, and so yeah, apparently I'm good at this.
You are good at this. And these guys, these two will also be, we've been working with Trish and the Youth Works program, and Kenny is going to be able to work over the summer through his internship, and Isabel is as well, only because she just went and asked the lab, hey, can you guys employ me over the summer? And they said, absolutely.
Perfect.
Where's the lab? Where is the lab?
It's ETR Water Labs. Yeah.
Will you have these internships next year, or do you have the ability to switch?
It's really up to the student. We can change internships as soon as a trimester because we operate on trimesters. But I think I might stick to mine and maybe add on another internship at UMass Memorial Hospital, just working with in their laboratory maybe for different species of bacteria, because I'm kind of a microbiological.
I'm on that science guy. All of that science.
And currently in my recent meeting with Dan, my mentor, we have gone over everything, and I am going to be staying at my internship for next year.
Nice.
Can you figure out why my check engine light keeps going on? Keep bringing it back?
Check the oil.
That's the only thing that happened.
Your independent project has just been determined, right?
Oh, yeah.
Mechanics and dollars, when you tell somebody you're one of those two things, every ailment either them or their car have is gonna get asked to. So expect lots of that kind of small talk now. Everybody knows that what you're doing, they're all gonna, and you're on camera.
So you could also earn some side money by doing some oil changes and things like that on the side.
I need one.
Fantastic. So that's wonderful. Congratulations, both of you. That's what a wonderful opportunity. So we appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. Is there any questions for Carrie or anybody else from LCE from the group? Wendy?
I just wanted to say that the young man that spoke to us, Jason, during public comment, I had a chance, his project is much bigger than just the classroom sizes. So he interviewed me for his project, and he's a freshman here, and I was so impressed by the thought that went into the question and the depth of information that he wanted to understand how our budget process works and how the staffing numbers are built out of that. I was just really, really impressed with how much hard work and thought he put into his project, and the little snippet that we got here was really just a very shallow overview, but he had some really important and impressive for a ninth grader questions. So I just wanted to say he was very impressed. Thank you.
Anybody else? Great. Well, thank you very much for hosting us. And we certainly have a lot of talent here, and that's wonderful to see. My only question, Carrie, is I know at one point the school committee was really very invested in expanding the program and really taking people from other districts in at some point. So are we there yet, or where are we at with that?
So the intertuition district agreement that we haven't had any superintendents who have agreed to that yet. And I'm not sure that that's, we're gonna have to think about that moving forward, if that's something we wanna do, or if we wanna reconsider and consider school choice. We're looking like we're gonna be full at 60 next year. And we're getting together with some folks to have some conversations kind of across the high schools, and to think about how we want to loop in programs and what fits where, kind of across the district, so we have like a nice portfolio of options for kids. And we're also starting to think about what work can we do at the middle school level, and what might that look like to get kids invested in the project-based learning and the leaving to learn aspect of the program even earlier, if there are opportunities there for that to happen.
Okay, great. That would be something, Superintendent, for us to keep updated on as time goes on, because I think, we do have a job here, and I would like to see it utilized to its fullest, and ultimately to be bringing in some revenue.
Yeah.
I thought you just said you were going to be full next year.
Well, we're going to be probably full with 60 Leominsters, but I have people all the time. Do you only take students from Leominster? Do you only take students from Leominster? So we have had some inquiries, and we've had some students who wanted to be here, and when we approached their superintendents with our tuition agreement, they said no, often because they have their own, many places have kind of an alternative kind of credit recovery program that much like we have at the high school. So I think the not wanting to kind of open the floodgates and say, yeah, we'll go ahead and pay this.
So what is full? What's the maximum that you can?
60.
So we're at 60, then how can you take it? I'm confused. How can you take in other students if we're at 60?
So the admissions process is kind of a rolling process, and we've had a lot of inquiries along the way, right? We're not fully enrolled yet. We're in the process right now, but some of those people who were interested were from other districts, and we had those conversations earlier on in the spring.
But you anticipate being full on September?
We do, absolutely, yes. Yeah.
Great. Ron?
What happens after you're full?
Well, those are conversations that we have to have and decide, what are our next moves.
Am I the only one that doesn't understand? What are there any, and please forgive me, are there any plans for expansion? Where, how, what?
So we moved into this space and built out partially this space with the intent of eventually being able to build out the rest of the space. But that's a conversation that's bigger than, right, just right here at this table and right now, right? These are discussions that we have to have with the superintendent, and we have to make those moves strategically, that in a way that works both for the programming, for the staffing, for the internship piece, making sure that we have enough internship opportunities that are developed for kids to be able to dip into that. So since the change of superintendent, Superintendent Deacon and I haven't had a chance to sit down and really discuss all of those
Ron,
opportunities
there's
yet.
another wing over here,
I was gonna say-
behind us.
I know that,
It's just not
I know
finished.
that, I
And
know that, but
so
I.
there would be some financial ramifications, so that would be another big, piece about that.
School choice
if
and
we
whatnot,
built
and
out.
the discussion she said she had with other superintendents about how they have to pay and this and that, whether it'd be attractive for them to pay to have this, almost like a rolling funding on, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
The other part of the picture, and I wanted to ask, since you're Isabel, the one who was doing the bacterial studies.
I'm ready to answer, Ronnie.
Well, it's because
You probably won't be able to answer what
it
he's
fascinates
I won't
me.
be able to answer the
It
microbiology.
fascinates me because these kind of studies is what is governing medical behavior now. The best example I can give you is the study of feces. They found out C. diff, the way to combat C. diff was to provide fecal tablets to the people because they lost all their flora and fauna with the antibiotic, and they discovered this by accident. I'm not making this up. Look it up.
I don't think anybody.
So that's why I'm asking about the biology. It's all these little intricate studies, and all of a sudden,
They're doing some proprietary science over there, and one of the things we haven't had a lot of luck at is getting internships in medical fields, so we're going to give you a call tomorrow. See what you can do for us.
well, it's just that with the study of bacteria and the way you're on a cutting edge, I'm just wondering, have you checked with Mount Wachusett, have you checked with Fitchburg State, have you checked with any of the schools that have bacterial study, whether you guys could work together? Go ahead.
We've actually talked to a lot of people, and many places don't really believe us when we say that we can do what we can do. So it's kind of hard to, it's more trying to prove to them we can do this, and then getting the conversation started is more of an easy thing. It's more getting them to believe that we can do what we can do. So we've actually talked to many professors, and many of them said, oh no, you can definitely not do that. But we're saying, well, here are scientific methods, please look at them, please approve them, and they say they won't look at them. That's our problem.
So we're getting really specific, so I'm going to, maybe if you want to come over and chat with Isabel about this sometime, that'd be a great idea. Because she has a lot to share with us. Thank you.
All right,
Thank you very much.
And a very diagnostic evening.
A little bit of ownership and
Did you get it, Ronnie?
I got it. It's just that, you can laugh at it, but this is the stuff that's happening. This is the stuff that's happening. You can't laugh at this.
I didn't, I said it was diagnostic.
Anyway.
So, we're going to move on to the 21st century presentation and summer programming.
Good evening, and I promise mine's not going to be as exciting as just what.
Bacteria for us?
Nothing. So what I will say is, I know on the agenda it says 21st century and summer programming, but I'm not going to get in depth in regards to 21st century because it's part of our upcoming summer programming, if that's okay. So moving forward, in the recent months, underneath the direction of Superintendent Deacon, I've been tasked with developing and working with a team to clean up and really inventory our big title grants. So our Title Is, Title IIIs. And so in the process of doing some inventory, we were also able to clean up and figure out where we were duplicating services or not really fully partnering together across the district we're bringing things to full scale. So the good news is, fast forwarding to now, we have a really good handle of where we are with our title grants, our FY18, and really good plan for moving forward with FY19. Recently, we went to a state conference where the Mass and federal government moving in the direction of doing one application for the district. We're no longer going to be working in silos, right? I didn't mean to trigger Ronnie, but right? We're not working in silos.
I always get
Right?
blamed for everything.
We won't be submitting applications by themselves. So our Title I applications or Title III, it's going to be one giant workbook, which is going to force districts. Luckily, we've already been ahead of that for about 6 months, which is really kind of exciting to be ahead of this curve, that we're already working together, and that these applications are not going to be submitted separately. It's going to be combined. They're not released yet, but as soon as that workbook comes out, we'll be working together and getting that application in as soon as possible, so those funds can be awarded to us as soon as possible, and we get out of the gate of the next school year with all of these additional initiatives. And just a reminder to members, but also the community, when I talk about and say title grants, it's a lot of jargon, but really what it is a district, we're entitled to additional funding based on the students that we serve, and it's supplemental services. So above and beyond what we are required to provide for a school district or a school. So these are additional things. These are above and beyond, and to help the student move in a more positive social, emotional, and academic direction, but ultimately move the dial. So we have higher performing schools, which ultimately contribute to a higher performing district. So that's what I mean around supplemental. So looking at this upcoming summer, we'll be running 5-week summer programs starting July 9th to August 9th. They're all aligned with one another, K through 12, with the exception of one program that's going to work 4 weeks, and that's our CTI program. Then we will start July 9th. That will be a 4-week program. We will have our special education programming operating very similar to previous years, K through 12. We will be, all the invites are going out now. What's happening a little bit differently this year is that we're working alongside those special education coordinators to be aligned with the other programming. So maybe a student would be better off in one of our other programs versus special education. What we were able to do also this year for special education students was that not all students get access to transportation to come to their special ed programming, unless it's written in their IEP during the school year. So we were able to move things around, and it made a lot more sense to help enrollment and to encourage attendance for those 5 weeks is to offer an additional bus, kind of like an all-city bus, at each of those locations. So it really doesn't matter what program you're going to, or what your IEP says, you're going to be able to get on that bus and get to your school. And it's all within reason, so we have at the elementary school, we wouldn't be combining middle or high school students with, elementary and, things like that. I mean, these are all grade specific. So in addition to the special education programming, elementary is going to be offered at Francis Drake, where we're housing our Creative Choices program and our special education program. At Northwest, we're going to be offering the Getting Ready for Kindergarten, incoming kindergarten students. We'll be offering the Summer Academy, which also partners with Fitchburg State for reading specialists. And there's a target student population for English language learners, but that's not the end-all be-all. These are students that are not on IEPs that can use some additional extension to their school year, right? And that at Fallbrook as well is Starbase Academy. That's a 1-week program that we have for our ESL students that they're able to leave our district and go down to Hanscom and be part of a great program there for a week. We've had this partnership for several years and we were able to sustain it this year, so that's exciting. And then another elementary program that's going to end up being moved around. We have a lot of summer reading activities going on and really pushing that student choice when it comes to choosing books versus scripting what it is that they should be reading. So at an elementary level, they're going to be out into communities and neighborhoods and doing some reading events in various parts of the city. So that's on an elementary level. At the middle school, we had some restructuring going on. And so I teased earlier and said, school buildings in the summer is some of the primest real estate around. Never mind being in the city of Leominster, which is also prime real estate, right? Well, we have our Leominster Recreation Department that is busting at the seams. They offer affordable summer programming to a variety of students and families. And they have originally or previously been housed in one of our school buildings as well as taking up air. So this year we've done some movement, and so what we did to kind of partner and scale that up is that not only are they going to have fall work this year, but they're also going to be housed at Samoset. So they're going to be able to use both facilities there. So what we're doing for our program is we're moving our middle school programs over to Skyview. It's a larger facility. We have more middle school programs going on this year, which is really exciting. So it ended up being the perfect storm, and it was okay for the relocation of it. We're going to have 2 21st century summer programs. We're fortunate enough to have, equitable after-school program in both middle schools. This year we're combining them in the summertime. What is also going to be a new addition to Beyond the summer school 21st century is that we're going to have on-site credit recovery. So we really want to hold integrity to the policy that this group has previously approved in regards to middle school students and classes that they may have failed during the year. So we're going to dually enroll them in our 21st century program so they can get on a bus, they can get to the school, they can have other enrichments, but they also can have on-site support for credit recovery through the Edgenuity program. So this is a really, really exciting opportunity. We're thrilled about that. We're also going to have our middle school special education program at Skyview. So also with our rec department, we were able to also expand our free breakfast and lunch program. So as you may recall from previous summers, through Chartwell's, they took the lead on getting an application into the state to get Leominster to be a free breakfast and lunch site for the district. And it started out small with creative choices. Last year we expanded to all of our summer programs. This year we're actually expanding it to all the rec programs. So 300 plus children in the city of Leominster are going to have free food, so that's pretty exciting. Moving on to the high school, and I'm coming to a wrap here, but we'll have our special education program at the high school. We have an English language learning summer academy up at the high school as well. CTEI is offering their incoming freshman academy to go and explore their shops. This is the largest shop year, if you will, for the summer. We're going to have about 9 of the 11 open, as well as adding an academic teacher and an ESL tutor as well. So the capacity of that program has significantly grown, as well as an additional bus for that program as well. And we'll have our on-site credit recovery high school program. So there's a few trickled 1 or 2 week programs that are coming down the pipe, in regards to clinics and things at the high school, and we'll figure that out over the coming weeks. Music programs we're looking to, craft and carefully craft and figure out how to work those in. So those will come in time, but these are the ones that are absolutely laid out. The postings are out, the fundings are identified, the expenses have been encumbered, and they've been aligned. So there's a real big concentration this year to take incoming 6th graders leaving our elementary schools and feed them up to the middle school in the summer. Get them there, bridge them to the middle school before they get there. Same thing with our outgoing 8th graders, is that we want to get our outgoing 8th graders to not stay with us in our summer middle school programs. We want to get them out up to the high school. So that was a big push and emphasis this year as well. We also, as you heard Carrie mention, at summer employment, we continue to partner with the WIB, and we're going to have more students this year out, either continuing their internships or co-ops getting paid, or out in the workforce in general. So that's it for our summer programming. Same question?
Pretty impressive.
Yes.
This has been a significant amount of work and a team effort. It's been, we're really excited about this.
We have quite the variety of offerings. Just
And
wonderful.
high participation rate too. High participation.
That's the big push. We want to make sure that we're getting, a return on our investment. So when we're talking about special education, the invites can be going out right now to families, but for working families, sometimes going to a program until noon isn't really feasible, or getting a student to and from a program from 8 to noon is pretty difficult. So if we start removing some of those barriers and figuring out how to do that at no cost to increase attendance and get a return on our investment, but we're going to see a turnaround in the dial that moves in the future school years. So we're pretty thrilled about that.
Awesome. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
I think it's very, very commendable what she's doing. It really, it speaks well of where we're moving to.
Oh, thank you. And I gotta say, since I didn't bring slides, and I have a second left, I just want to say one more thing. Superintendent Deacon and I were able to go to Worcester Technical High School this afternoon, where we had nominated the Leominster Recreation Department for a GROW Award. So the Workforce Investment Boards, there's North Central and Central Mass, out of all their nominations, accepted ours for the Leominster Rec. And what we did was we highlighted our relationship with the Leominster Rec over the last few years about growing youth employment. They hire upwards of almost 100 young adults in the city of Leominster. And there's a few that trickle that are non-residents, but they continue to partner with us and take on students that are considered disadvantaged, and they continue that partnership to the point where they're able to take in more students and serve more families at affordable childcare, to the point where they need 2 buildings now, right? And they're able to hire more, and we're offering them, partnering free breakfast and lunch program. That's huge. So to highlight that growth and partnership between the district and the city, we nominated them, and the Workforce Investment Board saw that loud and clear, and we presented them this afternoon with an award at Worcester Technical High School. So big news for Leominster.
Congratulations. So if somebody, a family out there was interested in the, work-based program, who do they contact, or what's
It'd be their guidance counselors, and just to be clear, this is not Leominster's program. We partner, it's a federal program. Guidance counselors in their schools all have these applications. I'm going out to all the schools because the application is way more intimidating than what it needs to be. Students need to be free or reduced lunch. This is an income eligibility program, and then there is a list of barriers afterwards that they'd like to target. The idea is to give first-time job experiences or employment opportunities to those who wouldn't necessarily get hired for face value. So guidance counselors, and 2 times a week for the rest of the school year, I'm going to be up at the schools afterwards, helping students with these applications.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Superintendent, can we have an update on the resource report?
Yes, we have submitted our monthly human resource report, not only to the school committee, but to the city HR department. It looked nice and small this month, but we know that that's not going to last. When it was handed to me, I said, oh, thank goodness. Also, there was a request for some job descriptions that we've included. And once again, for the next few weeks, Jen Mundy will still be in that role until the new assistant superintendent, Jim Riley, takes over. But she is open for questions, comments at any point in time. The phone rings off the hook.
Thank you for doing a good job.
Right, we appreciate you coming in. It was not easy.
What is can you just explain, I'm in the middle of all the budgets and just getting ready to hit send, but can you explain like the complexion of what makes up HR under the new sort of structure? Part of the role of the assistant superintendent is HR, and then who else works in this HR department? How is it?
So he will just have Ann Pickering, who's been there forever. She is really the institution. And he will also have one other secretary, who is the secretary to the assistant superintendent. So truly, there's 3 people.
Okay, that's what I thought. Thank you. No, I've heard nothing but good things. So.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions or anything on the HR report? We got it in the packet. Okay, so now we're going to the CEP presentation.
Thank you. I've invited Guadalupe to join me because she is an integral part of this process. And as we had mentioned before, we were engaging in applying for a CEP for our district, and we just wanted to use this evening to update you where we are in the process. So just to go over again and review, CEP is Community Eligibility Provision, and it means the number of identified students that are approved as eligible for free meals who are not subject or they are directly certified students. And this takes a lot of work with our data, and that's critical, the accuracy of our data. students that are directly certified through some of the programs such as SNAP, Medicaid, our homeless children, and which includes our economically disadvantaged. So to give you an overview, and I'll have Guadalupe share in this as well, but we are in the process of schools must meet a minimum level of identified students for their free meals. Data has to be accurate. Submission of CEP identified students' percentages had to be done by April 2nd. It was an enormous amount of work.
Yes.
Schools were grouped after we identified, not we, Guadalupe, identified the percentages. We grouped our K-5s. So our K-5s based percentages submitted, these schools were identified as being eligible. That means...
So the state just came back to us and said that we had to group them, we couldn't get the whole district qualified just because of the number of percentages. Some schools are a little bit lower than others, which we're working towards getting the middle school and the high school, which are a little bit lower. And that's our main focus after we apply for the CEP, is to increase the percentages of students and identifying. And a lot of people don't understand the whole process of applying for free or reduced lunch. So just getting the word out there and just letting parents and having that line of communication open with staff members, parents is important versus communicating with the students. So that's something we're working on. So we were able to group it and making it K through 5, which we met the percentage, which is district actually met the 75% mark. Sorry, I'm a little sick, so.
She has allergies.
The district met the 75% mark, making the district actually physically benefit. The district's going to benefit a lot from it. We're going to get a lot more applications and
well, the students eligible with they're going to have the free breakfast and lunch for our K-5s as it stands now. Once we're enrolled in the CEP program, K through 5, we're going to qualify for 4 years. So strong technology support is critical in us maintaining the percentages that we have now and then expanding it. So that's key. On a daily basis, that's a bulk of Guadalupe's work in the Parent Information Center, is checking our data. So our documentation that we are required to gather so that we can meet these eligibility percentages, we need copies of the letters from DCF confirming that these students are foster children. We need the accurate homeless list of students identified through our database. That means correct coding in our X2 system. We need the list of students from our Head Start programs and the CEP master roster of total school enrollments as of April 2nd, 2018 with the identified student list. This is an ongoing daily work that Guadalupe does. And in our system of the technology where all the activity daily is uploaded into our X2, we have to always check to make sure that worked. So we're constantly checking our technology.
And applying for the 4 years means which is great for the K through 5, but it doesn't mean that within a year, if we get our numbers, let's say come October or November, if we can get the middle school and high school there to where they can qualify, also we can reapply and include the middle school and high school. So we don't have to wait for the end period of the 4-year mark to reapply for the whole district. We can do it anytime in between the 4-year span, which is great.
In that, all of that data that we're collecting, having it accurate, having it all done in the Parent Information Center, and then checking it all the time has really benefited the district, and it's revenue generating. So it's very important, and everybody works as a team. All the different departments work together to make sure that is accurate. But the technology is key. We need strong technology that works. That's key.
So with 75% of the children qualifying, but this allows everyone in the school
Yes.
to get
Yes.
both breakfast and lunch?
Yeah, so the
lunch, yeah.
So all K through 5 students
We'll get breakfast
will
and
get
lunch.
breakfast and lunch for free.
So the 75% mark is like a formula the state uses, and we are actually above that, which is great. I'm hoping that once we get all the proper documentation, our number increases to a little bit higher than that, which, will be, numbers will look really good.
Excellent, but that's good news for all students
Oh, it is. Every
of the
student in
district,
the school,
K through 5.
K through 5, as it stands now. But we have that possibility of increasing it more as we look at our data on a daily basis and accurately.
The more we maintain it, and the more, we still have to maintain that number, and we can't let that percentage drop below 75%. And then once we keep working on it, my hope is that if we can increase participation amongst other parents in the middle school, they have, some parents have kids in elementary and middle school level and high school, they'll want to participate and kind of, get the word out there, and there's other ways to identify students that are.
And I think some of the older students are not always as great at bringing notices home and bringing it to the attention of their parents. So if parents know to look for this information at the start of the school year, that would greatly, improve our chances.
You're correct in that, because we have some parents that they feel they don't qualify, but when we had them fill out the applications and then Guadalupe ran the data, they did qualify, and that meant the siblings qualify.
It's
Family.
called extended, direct certification, which includes any household member that lives in the house. And then the other issue is just sometimes trying, the data, but it's just as simple as when families apply for, let's say, Mass Health or SNAP benefits, sometimes what I've noticed is that their names are not correct. They have multiple last names or one letter's off. So when I run my state reports, just because of that one last name, it's not identified. So it's little things like that you have to really look into, and which, I'm like, oh, okay, when they come in and sit down, I'm like, oh, okay, it was just, it was one missed letter, or, if they forgot the second last name, then we're able to capture that mistake. But it's not ours, just the parent taking out one last name or something like that.
But isn't that supposedly done through the forms that go home starting, I'm going to say in kindergarten, first grade, enrollment forms?
Oh, you mean when you send home and ask them to fill out their
emergency information and have that come back?
Yeah, that's all accurate.
Correct, but as they transition from year to year to year, particularly from elementary to middle school, from middle school to high school, some of that information, as I well know from having worked it, doesn't always get corrected, and you're getting the parents saying, I've given you this information last year when you're at the middle school, when my child was at the middle school, how come it hasn't been changed? Where is that process? Are the secretaries in the schools making those changes? Is the PIC center making those changes?
Well, it starts with when they first register through the parent center, but some of those, since before the parent centers initiated the work downtown, that information has been in X2. And every year they're asked to update it, but very often, sometimes, they themselves sometimes write the information incorrectly. So we'll get letters back. When we get letters back, when we send things out, that's when we have to do a lot of phone calling and to get the correct information. And it is sometimes as simple as a family might have two last names, but on that form for that year, they put one name. So automatically.
But I know personally. I know personally, the information I corrected on Jackson's emergency information last year, when I got it this year, was still wrong. It had never been changed.
And some of that happens through when it goes from in the X2 from class or gets uploaded.
Right.
Sometimes that happens, so it's a constant thing. I'd like to say right now that I could guarantee all the information in our X2 system is correct, and I am sure there are some
And
mistakes
I know
there.
there's issues when it gets rolled over from one year to the next,
Right.
that information doesn't, somehow, isn't correctly transferred over, and I think that's the
Yeah.
software. I don't think it's any one person's
No.
doing, but I think it's the rollover process that,
And then sometimes you have families with different last names
Right.
within those families. So it's an ongoing process, and it's something that we just have to be aware of all the time. It's a lot of work to go in and change.
and I do think the secretaries in the school make every effort
Oh, they do.
to update and keep it updated, and
They do.
Everybody tries to work
Yeah.
well together, and we
Right.
communicate on a daily
Right.
basis, but it's that, that constant, one little thing of linking like the students, that
Yeah.
it's just a simple, but we try to work together and to get it done.
Ron?
Sometimes when you're trying to put in the names, the blocks won't, where you put in the blocks won't allow you to put in all of the name. I know I could speak regarding my son, when we put his whole name there were parts that would cut it off. And I can't tell how many times because I'm putting in. So that's, the devil's in the details.
Great. Anybody else?
I think the superintendent's new position of Director of Digital Learning will help us address some of these
Yes.
technology issues, so I think that that's the direction we're going in.
Yes, thank you for picking up on that, because that's exactly where we have to be headed. Yes.
Great. Thank you very much. We appreciate your work. Glenn?
Just a quick point. One of the other focus of the Parent Information Center is trying to verify the number of students that are categorized as economically disadvantaged, not only for a slightly different purpose than for the CEP. And credit has to go to the PIC Center, especially to Guadalupe. If the state funding formula did not change for FY19, the increase in the number of economically disadvantaged students in Guadalupe matched with state databases, that increase, if the formula also provided a 2.64% increase in the incremental funding for economically disadvantaged students, would have represented an $821,000 increase in our net school spending number. Unfortunately, DESE implemented one step in their change in the funding formula, which to provide more funding for health benefits, for employee benefits, which ours increased by $500,000. But unfortunately, we didn't get that money into the formula because of us hitting the 40-60% cap. We also didn't get the $820,000. So nothing, totally not under our control. We are just caught. I was in a session on Friday with representatives from Mass Budget and Policy. We are just caught in the middle. And in future years, it may not happen, but imagine if we had another $821,000 of Chapter 78 because of the work that the PIC Center has been doing. We just didn't get it this year. This year.
Thank you. Well, hopefully next year we will. Keep our fingers crossed. All right, now Superintendent, if you would like to do the introduction of the new principal.
Yes. After a comprehensive interview process and the recommendation from the hiring team made up of teachers, administration, school committee, and parents, I'm happy to formally announce the appointment of Dr. Stephen Dubzinski as the new principal at Leominster High School. Dr. Dubzinski has been a foundational member of the high school staff for many years and comes into this position not only from guidance and an assistant principal perspective, but as a valued staff member that celebrates all that is Leominster. Students, family, and staff are excited to welcome him and look forward to building a promising future. He had a very lengthy speech ready, but he hasn't stopped talking since last Thursday night. And so we're just going to welcome him and not make him talk anymore. So congratulations. It's been very busy up there again. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Good selection. Could I just offer, we would, some local landscapers and DPW and a bunch of us local people would like to help spruce up the exterior of the Leominster High School grounds.
We would welcome
And
you.
so we would like to engage the students to help us.
Maybe we can find some bacteria too or
Yes.
something. Keep cool away.
Not all bacteria is bad bacteria.
No.
Right.
That's right.
We would like to engage the students in the next year.
All I did was ask a simple question and it just went downhill after that.
Down the drain.
No,
Yes.
no pun intended. We would like to engage the students to help us design. Because they have good CAD skills. And
Would love
so
to.
we would like to come up with a design and then put the construction project through and different types of plants and have them sort of part of that. So anyway.
Thank you.
We would like to offer that assistance.
Thank you very much.
Curb appeal.
Awesome. And just speaking of, and this really probably falls into more new business, but Dean, any word on the field transformation for behind the high school there? What's going on?
Engineers are working on it.
Yes, so do we know any time frame for groundbreaking or anything?
Oh, we got bidding to do, that cost estimating, bidding, get through conservation, I mean, there's all that has to be done. We're moving this quick, I mean, it's a difficult site, but it's the only site. And so, it's very wet out there, there's a lot of cut and fill, and, you know, we're trying to accommodate the neighbors because they have to live near it, so, yeah, they're continuing, I talked to them weekly, they're continuing to work on it. We'll move as quick as we can.
Good. I hope so. Excellent. Because we've been waiting a long time. All right, we'll move on to the subcommittee reports, policies, anything to?
So, at the last meeting when there was a policy vote, and when I were out sick, were you able to?
So we did the first reading of the handbooks and made some minor corrections, and today we'll do the second reading.
Okay, so that's the only.
Excellent. Finance committee, Mike?
Finance subcommittee met tonight, short agenda. The main thing we have for tonight is we have some minutes to approve. I know you ready to do your thing? She made the mistake of volunteering.
That'll teach her.
I just submit the following warrants. Warrant 39, this is from the general fund. Warrant 39, $1,966,413.64. Warrant 40, $155,279.70. Warrant 41 for $2,107,164.65. Warrant 42 for $2,870,924.06. Warrant 43 for $1,988,518.43. Warrant 44, there was none. Warrant 45 was $2,207,294.03. Warrant 46 was $887,828.58. Warrant 47 was $2,944,601.43. Out of grants and revolving funds, warrant 39 for $172,145.46. Warrant 40 for $71,610.11. Warrant 41 for $298,851.04. Warrant 42 for $396.66. Warrant 43 for $33,438.84. Warrant 45 for $240,047.66. Warrant 46 for $366,830.65. And warrant 47 for $248,469.65. $63.44.
Any comments, questions? All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, anything else, Mike, under finance?
That's it.
Excellent, thank you very much. We're going to move to the approval of the minutes.
There's-
I'm sorry, Glenn?
Get some?
Kindle Fund. The use of up to $7,000 in the Kindle Fund for teaching coursework at the discretion of the high school principal.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I saw that earlier, but I don't see it on this agenda for some reason. Did I have sent another copy?
It was
It was on finance.
Okay. So,
Right, so, do you have a question about whether we can do that?
No, I think it's under, it was in part of the packet, you have to make a motion under the finance committee.
why are you concerned?
You seem concerned, so I was just asking what your concern was.
I mean, technically it should just be on both agendas, but I don't, it was on that agenda. I'm okay with it. I don't have a problem.
Okay. So we had a request to use Kendall funds for tuition for summer AP programs. We have the exact wording of what we approved.
I believe the motion was to approve up to $7,000 in expense out of the Kendall account to pay for the AP workshops.
Yes.
For teachers.
Just
for there not to be any confusion.
And Finance Committee voted to recommend that, so.
And that's something we've used in the past for that purpose as well.
Yes, there was one difference this year, and as I understand it, one or two teachers may go to Fitchburg State, which is actually slightly cheaper. So that didn't seem to be a problem.
Okay, great. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Any other thoughts, comments, questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Excellent. Are we all set now with finance?
Now we're done.
Okay, perfect. All right, approval of the minutes. They are here at our desk. So if I can have a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Any corrections, omissions, comments? I do not see any. So we have a motion and a second, right?
Yes.
I seconded, okay. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving right along, we have some action items. Superintendent, approval of the field trip.
Yes, Arthur Pierce submitted an overnight field trip for this coming December for his chorus down in Disney. And if you see, he's attached quite the detailed framework, lessons, expectations, and anything we need. So we're looking for approval so that they
Motion
can
approved
put their plans in
for the
order.
trip in December?
Second. And we've got a second. All those, any questions, comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. I think that they should take us personally. Yeah. Sounds like a wonderful trip. All right, how about the second reading of the handbooks? Would you like to make a motion?
So I will make a motion for the approval of the changes submitted at for the first reading of the student handbook. Not here.
I'll second.
Okay, any other comments or thoughts? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. So now we have the plaque and caps appointment to the boards.
We need approval for appointment to both FLAC and CAPS. I currently sit on the board at FLAC, and Sue is on the board at CAPS.
Sue, is that something you would like to continue doing?
Sure.
And you don't have a choice. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve both black and
Yes. Okay, second? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Chris, can you just put those out separate?
Yes, I will.
So we can send
And I'll send one to one.
Thank you, to the boards, yeah. Old and new business. Does anybody have any old and new business? Wendy?
I just want to share that Downset Middle School started something new this past week that they hope to continue for families. They expected one family at first, and there were about 10 or 15 that ended up coming. They're doing an annual family trivia and pizza night, which was a lot of fun. They did, they tried to keep it academic, but it was fun stuff too. There was math and science, but there was pizza, and they did their book fair and kicked off the summer reading with selling some of the summer reading books. So they will be doing it again next year, and it was a big success.
Awesome.
And I think because Miss Anderson won.
She won.
Congratulations. In the case of transparency, yes, my family's team.
It was a great night. It was a great night.
And the Applebee's was wonderful because that was our gift.
Ooh, very nice. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
So we know who to put on the Trivial Pursuit team.
Yeah.
Right there. All right, any other new or old business from the group? Mike?
Just one thing I'll just mention out loud, that the school department is on the calendar for our budget hearing before the Finance Committee of the City Council at 6:15 p.m. on June 21st.
And is that a Monday?
Thursday.
No, Thursday, right?
That's Thursday.
It's the day before school ends.
Okay. So what we usually encourage is for as many of the committee members to come there to support the budget. But generally, we are not a speaking body. Sometimes the superintendent is asked
God bless
questions.
you.
God bless you.
3 of those and you get the day off with pay.
Mike.
2 more to go. Nobody's ever done it, so don't worry about it.
I don't know, I usually see in threes, but.
It's a lot of pressure.
All right, so if there's no other further new or old business, we are going to move into executive session.
I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session under Chapter 39 of the Massachusetts General Laws for the purpose of contract negotiations concerning paraprofessionals, and we will not be returning.
So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us.